Welcome, creators. Sit yourselves down by the crackling hearth fire and listen, for a world of opportunity awaits you. Welcome to episode 4 of the Professional Dungeon Master's Guide, where we unlock the secrets to earning money online as a professional dungeon master. In this episode, I reveal to you the best places to advertise your games, what to put in your ad copy, and stick around to the end of the video, where I share with you some very special tips and tricks that help your game stand out amongst a sea of DMs advertising also. If you're enjoying the series so far, please like the video, crit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and get ready to level up your online DM game like never before. Let's get rolling. There are a bunch of places to advertise where you can get your game in front of the people who are willing to pay for it, and you can and should utilize every one that you can. So each platform has its own rules and red tape regarding self-promotion, but luckily for you, I've been messing all of that up horrendously for my adverts for the past 3 years. So you get to learn from my mistakes. Yet again, I can tell you exactly how not to advertise and what you should be doing to attract paying customers. So yes, Startplaying is the best for picking up players, but only if you do the right things, which we'll go over here. We've already done most of our advertisement for startplaying.games in the previous video with your game template, right? That pretty much is the advertisement. All of the information and kind of ad copy and all of the alluring kind of value you've added in there, that's what's going to show up when you create an adventure template. But I'm going to show you how it works anyway. So we'll head on over to adventure creation. Alrighty, so what you want to do is you want to click on your icon and go to Manage Adventures and Create Adventure. Now, obviously you choose campaign or one shot, whichever it is for whatever you're advertising for. Your game template, whichever the one you created in the last video, just pick it. Thieves, Lords, and Legends will stick with that one, and the number of players. So I generally put 4 to 6 because I think, for me anyway, less than 4 players is just not worth it, for the time and cost and energy. And 6 is the maximum for me, I think, especially because I like to put more energy and thought and time into crafting player backstories and interweaving them into modules or whatever campaign we're playing. So if I put that to 7 or 8, that would just be way too much work for me anyway. It might be different for you, but yes, mine is 4 to 6. Publicly listed, yes, of course, you are trying to advertise for this game. I'd keep that ticked. The only way I wouldn't keep it ticked is if someone, like a full group, has already contacted you privately through your DMs, the DMs, in which case they're probably not super happy to play with a stranger if they already know each other, they've already formed a little group. So in that instance, I would leave that unticked, but if you're just trying to grab some strangers off the internet, keep it ticked. Instantly bookable, I would do this. The only way I can think that you wouldn't keep that ticked is if you were a very in-demand DM and you could afford to be choosy about the people you let into your games. Of course, we should always vet our players a little bit, at least get to know them a small bit. But yes, I would keep that instantly bookable if you're just starting out. You want players in as quickly as possible. Early bird booking. So what that will do, if you click that, the first 2 players to join your game, the first session you play, they will get half price. It'll only cost them half price. It's kind of difficult to get players into a game with 0 seats filled, right? So this is just a little incentive for people to jump in at the start at half price. However, I find that even that does not draw people into an empty game. There is a solution to this. I will be describing this at the end of the video in the tips and tricks section we were talking about earlier. So stick around for that. But for the meantime, please leave that unchecked. And then you just create adventure. All right, there it is. You jump in, edit adventure, and you can see this is what it looks like. And if you jump into view adventure here, this is what it looks like for people who have clicked on your ad, have clicked on your thumbnail. They liked your title and they jumped right in, and you can see here the amount of seats filled, how much it costs, all of this information here, that you've already determined in your game template. So, and here we go, in the about, there we go, it's already here, they put it all in for you, it's really handy. It also has your GM profile, it kind of shows your games hosted and all of this kind of stuff. They can view your profile, they can contact you and book you. There's my YouTube channel, and if you got one too, you chuck it in there, it'll just show up there. and all of these additional details that you've already done in your game template. So you don't got to worry about it. It's already there, and once you create that game, you're already advertising on Start Playing. It'll show up in the kind of game pool. At the very end, yes, it's got your player reviews, so that is also very, very handy. You've got to schedule a game, so you got to add a session. However, what I would say is that you must be careful of search manipulation. It is something defined in the terms of service. So, for example, if you schedule a game on Start Playing for 2 weeks from now, and you find not enough players to start, then you push it forward, you change the date. That is known as search manipulation, because you're kind of clogging up the kind of game pool, right, with your thing. You're constantly pushing it forward. So yes, do not do this. It is search manipulation, and it is against the terms of service, and that could be bad for you if you were caught doing it. So don't do it. Now, roll 20. So this section is only applicable to you if you are using Roll20 as your virtual tabletop platform. If you're not, go ahead and skip to the next section, but I do use it, and if you are planning on using it, or you're using it already, then this is how you advertise on it. There are 2 different ways to advertise: your game listing and your forum posts. And we're going to jump in now and have a look at those. So, in Roll20, you've made an account and all of that stuff, I'm sure. You create a new game. You choose the name for the game. I'm going with this one. And if you have purchased the module, then you may select it from here. You don't have to do this if you want to run Waterdeep Dragon Heist, but you have the book, for example, and you want to put in all of your own little handouts, then you don't have to do that. But if you do purchase it, it has all of that stuff in there automatically, and it saves you a bunch of time. That's why I do it. I do buy them on here. But you select the module, you select your title, and then you go, I'm ready, create game, and it creates it for you. Now, the game listing has not been made yet. So to do so, you go into looking for players and create listing. All right, click this big purple button, create the listing, and here we go. Right, next game we'll talk about that in a moment. Total players needed. You must have total players needed in there. You must put in a number and save it, otherwise it will not make that listing live once you've kind of made it. And there's a bunch of options in here, which, it's all really just up to you. Of course, mature content on or off, depending on what you set in your Start Playing game template. Pay to play, you obviously want to keep this clicked. However, in here, put the cost and then always put via Start Playing, just so people know that you are charging through that platform, because there is a service fee. Pick up game. I leave this off. If you click this, people can jump into your Roll20 session whenever they like. So what happens when I leave this on is that usually I get a player in an hour beforehand, and I tell them, I'm sorry, I am prepping this game currently, and I do not have time to help you create a character. So I leave that off. The description, you can just copy paste the description you made in Start Playing. It's that simple. You don't need to do it again. You've already done it. So put that in there and you are good to go. So you save all that. And now you're looking for players is disabled because you have not told Roll20 when the next game will be. If you put in a date and a time like so, looking for players, your game listing is now advertised. It is now active and will remain so until after that date, or until after you the number of players, the threshold has been reached. There is, of course, another way on forum posts, and I suggest that you do this. So if you go into community and you scroll on down until you find looking for group, but you head down to paid games, okay? Read this forum post first. It is very important. It tells you exactly what you should and shouldn't do. Now, the thing about Roll20's forum, when you make a post, of course, it's going to arrive at the top of the forum, and over time, it'll filter down. You cannot on Roll20 repost a thread topic. If you just post the exact same thing again tomorrow, it will flag you and it will probably take it down, and you might even get a warning. So you cannot keep reposting the same thread topic. But what you can do is you can, in the comments of a thread post, you can add something to bump it up. What I recommend is that you bump it up by adding kind of more exciting information about your module. Maybe add some of the NPCs, a picture of them perhaps, or maybe describe a little bit about your style. Just add in little snippets that are kind of grab people's attention, and it will bump it up every day. So every day you must do that. You can't just make a little small change, kind of edit the thread topic itself to bump it up. You will need to add more. And you must have the link to the game listing in the post, otherwise you will be flagged and it will be taken down. Now, DnD Beyond. So very similar to Roll20, you head into the forums, and you go for the LFG section, but there are similar strict rules about post kind of thread topic reposting. You can't just repost the same thing tomorrow. You must make a post and then bump it by posting cool stuff about your game in the comments, right? They're very strict about this. Also, and your thread will just be taken down, and you will probably get a warning on the forum, and you do not want that because you need these to advertise your games. Quick and easy on D&D Beyond, it's just the same, very similar to Roll20 in terms of rules, but of course read there. I'm sure they have a kind of mega thread on posting in, you know, paid games. It's here on the screen, I'll show you, but yes, read that, make sure you're in line with it, or you will get flagged, and a mod will be very mad at you. Now, making a post on Reddit. What I will say is be very careful about post formatting and flares. What I mean by that is each subreddit, and there are 2 of them I'm going to mention now, each of them has their own rules for tagging the title of your post, okay? And they're specific for each one. There is a guide on each that will explain to you exactly how it works. And if you don't adhere to it, your post will be flagged, taken down. Again, you will make a mod very angry. So don't do this, do adhere to them. Make sure you get it right. So the first subreddit I want to talk about is LFG Premium, okay? / or LFG Premium. They're both good, but this one, and they both have their pros and cons, but this one, there are less people on here than the one I'm going to mention later, but there's less noise, of course. There's less people advertising on here, but there's less people in here as well. But that does mean your posts will stick out a little more, I suppose. And the most important thing about this subreddit is that people are specifically on here to hire a DM for money. That is very important. As in the next subreddit, Roll20 LFG has both, okay? So this is a good thing and it's a bad thing, but I'll explain in a moment. Many more people are on here than LFG Premium, right? So you have more potential customers viewing, more eyes on your prize, right? Now, the problem is, like I said, not everyone on here is looking to pay, and some wonderful people love to downvote your advertisements just because you are promoting a paid Dungeons & Dragons experience. I know, isn't it wonderful? But don't worry too much, okay? Posts still get way more views on this subreddit than LFG Premium, so that kind of downvote, don't worry about it too much. Just be prepared for it and don't let it discourage you. Honourable Mentions. So, the D&D Beyond Discord. Yes, they do have a Discord. There is a channel in their Discord where people are looking for DMs, right? So you can go in there and have a look and see if any of these, people have, it's usually formatted, and it'll show exactly when they want to play, how many they got, what kind of game they're looking for, if they're willing to pay or not, which is kind of important because most of these people, 99%, are not willing to pay for it. And even some of them write nasty little comments in the paid section about paid experiences. It's very unfortunate, and it can be disheartening to go in there every day and see that. But if you want to use every single kind of weapon in your arsenal advertising, you may go on here and do this every day. There are some people looking to pay, and you will find them in there. Tabletop Wizard. This is a website where you can advertise for games, paid or free. And players can look for games in there too, they can search for games. It's kind of similar to kind of Startplaying in a way, but it is much smaller, right? But I've found some players on here even. So it's worth giving that a look. Again, you just make a game listing. It's pretty straightforward. I won't go into it here as this is just an honorable mention, but you can go in, create a game listing. And again, just use the information that you've used in your Startplaying template, right? Your game template. Interesting fact that that is a website set up by another Dungeon Master YouTube channel. It's How to Be a Great Dungeon Master. I'll link it in the description below. It's a very good channel when you're learning how to become a great Dungeon Master. So check it out. Facebook groups. I know this might sound like a weird one, but there are some out there. There are some out there. Now, to be honest, I'm going to be straight up with you. I don't use this. I don't use Facebook, so I do not use these. But I know that there are Facebook groups for people who are looking for games and for DMs who are advertising their games. So yeah, head on there, have a look for yourself, and if you want to spend the time on this, you may just pick up a player or two. Other TTRPG forums. Again, this is not something I've spent a lot of time on. I did a little bit at the start, and there are kind of a bunch out there. There are RPG or tabletop RPG forums out there that you can hop into and advertise your game on there too. However, this might not be worth your time and energy, but again, if you're really struggling to find players, this is just another place where you can put your advertisement in front of people who may be willing to pay you. Now, we've talked about where to advertise, what to be advertised, what do you write in your advert, what do you put in your ad copy. Well, since you've been watching along with this video so far, haven't you? You've already heard me explain that you should research ad copy techniques, right? Research how advertisers make their ad copy, what is written in their adverts. Enticing. It's important to know this, and you can use these techniques to attract and allure more players. So why not? Now, as discussed, we've already written the core of our advert for our Startplaying template, right? So in most cases, like for whenever you're making a post on Reddit, DnD Beyond, Roll20, all of those forums, you can just copy and paste it. And these forums are a great place to experiment with your ad copy, right? You can change a few things here or there. You can post the same advert just with a few little changes. Maybe you've added some extra value in one, maybe you've added some in the other. You want to see which is more alluring to people and which gets more attention, upvotes, views, whatever. You can use this. You can use these places to experiment with them, and just you constantly want to update and improve your advertisement. And wherever you do so, make sure you link your Startplaying game. You send them there so you can fill up those seats, and it will entice other players to join, and it will show that you and your games are in demand. Very important. Tips and tricks. So I've been promising you throughout the video that I would share some of the tips and tricks I've learned along the way and give them to you. Remember I was talking about that early bird offer, okay, and I told you not to check it. Here is why. So in the Startplaying Discord server, once you've kind of signed up there, and there's a confirmation process in the server that will kind of get you into the GM channels, right? There's a bunch of them hidden from people who aren't GMs. Once you do that, there is a channel in there you can go into, and you can click in there, and you can head in there, and you can essentially, the whole point of it is to ask GMs to jump into your game as seat fillers, right? Because nobody wants to jump into an empty game. And if you're struggling finding those first two players, you can grab two GMs, ask them to jump in. They'll get to play for free, with the caveat that they're willing to jump out if your player numbers have been reaching the threshold, right? Because like I said, we don't want to keep pushing that date forward if you don't have enough players. You want to run the game when you say you will run it to avoid being taken up for search manipulation, right? So getting them to jump in, it can make your table will be fuller, and people will be more likely to join it. This is a very important tip, and this is why it's the first one. Do this. I didn't do it for such a long time, but it really helps. Players will jump in, even if you don't find, say you're advertising for 6, you've 2 GMs in there playing for free, but you still might get 3 or 4 paying customers. It's a great way to start making money sooner, right? So yes, definitely do this one if you do none of these other ones. Now, the game prep notes in your Startplaying adventure, as you can see here, whatever you put in here, once a player joins your game, these notes will be sent to their email. So what you can do to enhance the player onboarding process, and even before players have joined your table, they already have a good experience with you, because what you can do is you can put in there a welcome message, right? You can add the kind of Discord server link in there. You can add the Roll20 link in there if you have one. And you can just say, hey, thanks for joining my game. I really appreciate it. Feel free to contact me anytime about your character, or if you have any questions, just hit me up right away. This is a good interaction for them, and it kind of just adds this extra human element, right? And they have that contact with you. It sends them a message, and they can reply to you on there. That's only a good thing. So definitely do this. Another huge tip for you is to advertise every day. Okay, every day that you don't, it could be a player or more that you're missing out on. you could get really unlucky where, you know, the days you happen to not advertise are the days you'd pick up players and fill your table, right? So whatever forum or whatever platform you are choosing to spend your time to advertise on, update it daily. Put those comments in to bump those posts. Repost a thread on Reddit. Do it every single day at around the time that your game is going to be running at, right? So this is when these people are going to be free and when they'll probably be looking for a game during their free time. So do it every day and everywhere you can, time permitting. Like some of those honorable mentions, maybe you might not have enough time to advertise on there every day like you would the others, but I've found players from most of these places, so it is always worth it if you can spare the time, of course. Keep an ad template in Notions maybe, or even just on the notepad on your computer. You should keep an ad template for each of these platforms because you don't want to be writing out everything every day. Even the titles and the formatting, it's different for all of them. So if you have, okay, you know, this is the Reddit template. Here's how the title should look. This is the format for it. So you literally just copy and paste it. So it makes it easier and easier to post these things. You're not wasting a bunch of time writing it out every day. That would be so tedious and it will put you off doing it. So yes, make those templates. Also, if you save more time, you have more time to watch my videos on how to become an outstanding DM. Another thing you can do is you can research other GM games, see what they're doing. You know, other GMs are posting on Reddit and all of these other forums and on Startplaying too. Go into their games, go into their GM profiles, see exactly what do their thumbnails look like. The ones that are successful and in demand, go in, have a look, analyze them, see what they're doing right, see what they're doing different from you, and use that. Copy someone who is doing a really good job, and you will do a good job too, or at least you'll get closer to that. So absolutely do this. It's competitor research, right? It's competitor analysis, and you need to do it. Build a following. I know some GMs that only get players through their social media accounts because they've built a following. You know, of course they're built around being a GM or a DM, right? And they're advertising for their games on their own social media. If you can build a following, or if you have one already, this makes your life so much easier, right? Than posting on Reddit every day. If you can do this, or if it's something you want to start, I would start right away. And I would build that following around DMing, and I would get my players from there. Because if people are following you because they think you're a good DM, they will instantly sign up for a game that you're advertising on there. Now, if something's not working, if you have an ad going and you've been posting every day, you're doing everything you can, right? And after 2 weeks, you have no players. After 3 weeks, you have no players. You need to change something. Your title or your thumbnail, it's not working. Or maybe that's working, but your ad copy is woeful, okay? You'll know after 2 or 3 weeks, if you've no players, you need to change something. So change something. Don't just leave it hang, because if you've no players after 3 weeks, you probably have no players after 6 weeks. Okay, so change something if it's not working. Now, say you've got a few games under your belt, you have some current and past players, why not consider creating a community Discord server centered around you as a GM and your games, right? You can invite all of these past and current players into this server. Once they're all in there, they can all form a little community with themselves, share memes, talk about the games with you, post D&D related stuff. It's just a little place for them to do that and hang out together. And then you can advertise your game in there. A lot of players who've played with you before will jump at the chance to play another game with you. So why not do that? And of course, this will take some time as well. You will need to have players to invite into this thing, but I guarantee you this time will pass. You will have the players to invite into this, and you will almost instantly have at least 1 or 2 players to jump into a new game, which is fantastic. And in the next video, I will be exploring creating a Discord server for your games, or a community Discord server. I know this sounds like a lot of stuff to do, but it is tough to find players at the start when you have no reviews and no clout. So you need to put in the time and effort to find them. You need to do everything you can. All right, so if you've been following along with this process, you have a great advertisement campaign in progress, and you are just waiting for the seats to fill up. But what happens if they do, you're probably wondering? Well, stay tuned for the next video in the Professional Dungeon Master's Guide, where I provide yet another step-by-step guide to pro DMing. But this one, I share with you how to make the best possible first impression on your new players, and I share my perfect player onboarding procedure. Okay, you've heard a lot from me, now I want to hear from you. Please hit up the comment section down below. Do you know of any other places to advertise? Have you tried this already and have some tips of your own? Please get writing down there so that we can all foster this community of pro DMs who are helping each other succeed. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please like, share with someone that you know who is thinking about getting into pro DMing, crit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and remember, this world needs good DMs.